Hello, guys. I'm with a band from Finland today. Yeah, Moonshot from Finland. How you doing, guys?
Pretty
Doing
good.
great. Doing great, thanks.
Yeah, it's
Very
Okay,
quite.
good.
so Ville is the singer, and Jussi is the guitar player of Moonshot, right?
Yeah.
Just right.
So
Yeah.
listening to this album is really funny because you have I would say 90s universe from the USA. I would say the rock
Mm, yeah.
from the 90s, and at the same time, of course, you have the I'd, I'd just say Finnish style, maybe thanks to the UC riffs, which are quite familiar from the Finnish scene, like Amorphis, one of my favorite band ever.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So, do you
Cool to
agree
hear.
that the US 90s roots? I would say.
The early 90s and maybe even early 2000s, around that time, we have been building our, the, the base of our taste in music. So, yes, I can relate to that.
Vinay?
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, there's like lots of thinking about what happened back then. There's lots of bands and lots of albums that we've been listening quite a lot, and that's why I thought that we were living in this kind of sensitive age in where you are like soaking things inside of you, and then now we are like reflecting it, you know, you know, out from us. So that thinking about that way, it really makes sense that you know that comparison.
And late 90s, I was uh, I was interviewing Children of Bottom at that time for the very first album.
Okay.
So it's funny to relate with your bass player, right?
Yeah.
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 So was
So,
it easy to combine together all your influences? I would say.
yeah, I must say it's quite an interesting soup, so to say,
Yeah.
when you put in, me and the drummer Mikko, we go way back together with from like since age of 10 or something. We have known each other and we have been playing together from since age of 12. So it's a long way. And of course, we know Ville from another previous band very well, and then Henkka from Bodom, which is like Henkka is sort of the style wise comes from a little bit different background. So the combination, I must say, it is quite, maybe I wouldn't say unusual, but it's sort of surprising a bit and interesting. At least that's how I felt when we finally got to form this band with all four of us.
Mm,
So it's quite inspiring.
yeah.
Surprises are good, for and
Sometimes.
sometimes and
Yeah. But,
different
but
flavors.
yeah, but it was, before we actually started to play in the same room for the first time, I was super nervous and like excited about how things will, happen. But it was quite clear after, first notes and first beats that okay, this will be a good thing, and we really can make this happen because everything felt so natural and kind of chemistry between us in a new band worked quite well and it felt really good.
Good. And yeah, I would say that's the mix. We can feel, the mix of backgrounds. Um, were you listening to metal too in the 90s?
To some extent, yeah, but not that much. Personally, I sort of started rock music career as a listener from like AC/DC, and then went to Metallica and some other metal bands like from really young age. So like Pantera and Sepultura and stuff like that. But pretty early on, I moved to more like punk rock and hardcore scene, and from there it kind of developed to many directions. So maybe not that much metal per se, at least not for like steadily for a long time.
You too,
Yeah,
Ville?
yeah. I was more into this ACDC. It's my all-time favorite, of course. But I've been so you know to make it not too black. I've been always big fan of Queen, and I started to listen punk rock when I was like I don't know 12, 15, and I tried some Metallica, but at that time it was really little bit too heavy for my taste. Even though I didn't want to admit it, but still it was what happened, and yeah. But I've always liked like quiet, how should I put it, like a straightforward music with the great melodies and like strong lyrics. And if those elements are there, I don't care what is the scene or genre. So it's like everything goes when it's like really good, you know.
But
Yeah.
Ville, then you must be a fan of Moonshot then.
yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, it makes perfect sense. So circle is completed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you are more the Rasmus than Chino Bonham at that time, right?
At that time, yeah, I have to say. But now Henka is killing me.
So let us know about the writing and recording process of this album, please.
Yeah, it was quite 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 deep and long process. It took like altogether, I think something like 2 years to complete the second album. And we actually started to write the new songs for this second album even before the first album was out, because of the Corona situation. We had to postpone the release of the first one. So we thought that okay, so we have some downtime now, so let's make some more songs, and so things started to develop from there. And yeah, so personally, I'm the one who is responsible for the music and the production of the songs, and like the composing and making the parts work and so on. And then Ville is the guy who writes the lyrics and makes almost all of the melodies and top lines, and then all these come together, and then we also collaborate together, me and Ville, and then of course as a whole band we collaborate and speculate on stuff. And so
So
that's pretty much
one
that's
more
pretty
time.
much how this yeah that's pretty much how the songs slowly evolve, and we kind of iterate them many times, and we get to the next stage and next stage, and it kind of goes through this quite long path of like from the beginning to getting into the finish line and being like a finished song. And so we had two different studio sessions for this album, which were like, wasn't it like March and September of was it 22? Wasn't it,
Yeah,
Ville? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. If I remember
So
right.
yeah, then that was the main sessions where we kind of focused on the drums and so on. And then after that, we did a lot of like post production and more recordings regarding mainly with guitars and of course vocals. And we actually had this separate producer for the vocals only. Ville can tell more about that. And Ville worked with this guy from Canada, this producer, and so then the mixing process was quite long as well. And during the mixing process, we also kept on recording more and more, and like trying to make the best out of every song, and of course kind of ended up redoing even something just to get get the songs to the best possible form. And the mixing process took, like, I don't know, maybe mixing and post-production and post-recordings from the actual session after the actual studio sessions. It was like something like 7 months, 8 months. So that was quite a long time, even after the actual first two studio sessions.
So it's a quite long process.
Yeah, long process and lots of different stages, and sort of like just the main aim was to, of course, make the songs as good as possible. So in practice, it sometimes it meant that we took two steps forward and one step back, because just realizing that, okay, we can do that better, and let's redo that. And so it was quite tedious and deep process. Probably one of the sort of the heaviest and deepest creative processes I've been ever into in my whole career. So that's quite a lot.
Ville, let us know about your Canadian producer for your vocals.
Yeah, I sung with David Potter, and we did this kind of remote thing that David stayed in his studio in Toronto, and I was singing here in Helsinki, or actually in Sipoo, which is like little city or town next to Helsinki, and it worked actually surprisingly well. We did the same thing when we're doing our first album for Moonshot. And actually, I was supposed to make it there to Toronto, but then Corona happened, and we had to find this kind of plan B. And then we decided to try this remote thing. And to be honest, I think that there's not too many downsides when it comes to doing things like that. Of course, it's like because David is a good guy and he's having good bad jokes. It would be nice to share coffee when you are having a break with him. But also it was nice to have once you are not singing, it was nice to let's say do a little walk in a Finnish countryside and be few minutes without thinking anything when it comes to like vocals and doing things in the studio. So I pretty much like that process, and I've been working. This was actually third album I've been singing with David right now. So it was, we kind of know each other quite well already, and it's kind of, we don't have to take stress about if I say this, is it like David is getting it wrong, and he knows that, okay, this is something I can push Phil a little bit more. I can push him. Okay, now he's just about to collapsing. Like so that's it's really fruitful like dialogue we have managed to start with him, and I think that he's one of the key characters when it comes to the vocal parts in this album.
So everything that you told us, that is it's pretty hard experience in studio, and I don't know if the fans know that it's really hard to record an album, and all the benefits today to, because bands don't sell albums anymore. So all the process, all the blood, sweat, and tears that they put in is, yeah, pretty hard stuff.
Yeah, but I think that, for me, the thing that it's making this whole process way much easier is that when we're writing songs with Jussi and when we're doing like vocal things, we're doing really, really good pre-production and production work even before I'm about to enter the studio. So for me, it's quite easy, to perform and try to get best out of me because we have pretty much planned and did like a pre-work with Jussi so well. So it's like, Jussi's work as a like huge producer in the project, it's giving me kind of self-confident that okay, when we're doing vocals and when we're concentrating for vocals only, there's nothing that basically can go wrong because we have already, took a look at the big picture with Jussi. So that's why I think that it's not that stressful for me personally.
Yeah. You see, what was the most difficult thing on this album with several months later?
That's a good question. I suppose there were quite, many, many like smaller things that had to be taken under consideration. But I suppose in a big picture, we decided to record and finish 15 songs, which was actually, that's quite a lot.
Mm.
So looking back at this, I would say, I think of course, I would do it again, but still, that was part of the reason why it was so heavy. 15 is not the same as 11, which is usually the case with
Yeah.
albums. So and of course, because our standards are so high, we were, the whole idea was to make a world class rock album or make nothing at all. It's like either or. So if you go into this road and start making an album, you have to go all in and make the decision that there's no compromises. And of course, that's like sort of my personal cross to carry, to like thinking like that. I That's the way I'm built personally, and I must say, Ville is built that way as well. It's like we just keep on pushing until it's like there's like nothing to be made better. So, and with that idea combined with the 15 songs, that's a lot to carry. And one other thing, like practical thing, I I was quite a long way down to, I had recorded a lot of guitars, but there was like, let's say, something like all the rhythm guitars for like 7 songs. And then, it just, came to me that shit, this sound is not good enough. I really need to do something about it. Then, I started testing more guitars, and I finally find one guitar that sounded the way that it's supposed to sound when we're talking about like classic rhythm guitar distorted sound. So I had no choice but to redo all those songs. So there you go. But on the other hand, I had done them once already, so doing the second time, that was quite fast. But that's one practical example that something like that can happen. And if you just realize that this just has to be done again, so be it.
Yeah. So you recorded 15 songs, and you have 11 songs on the album.
Yeah.
So will you put those songs in special editions, or what about these 4 songs not released yet.
Yeah, that
Not
is a
yet.
good question. Not yet. They they
Yeah.
will be out. They will be out. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
some good plans for those. Luckily, so none of the songs go to waste. So it's
Uh,
that's good.
Okay. And
but
there.
of course, it was like when we had to think about that, whether we want to put all of those 15 songs in the album or which one we can leave out, and what kind of you know like picture we would like to make about those 4 songs that we are now leaving out. It was really hard to choose those ones, and those are really difficult questions, of course.
One of my favorite song is Yes, because I
Okay.
love the word yes. It's very positive, and which is one thing is very positive is the bass lines. We can hear them a lot, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have bass, you have a
Yeah.
bass player, which is good sometimes. And yeah, so let us know about your bass player and the way he recorded his lines.
Yeah. So Henkka, I must say, having worked with Henkka with these 2 albums, I must say, he's he's probably the steadiest. You know, he has the steadiest hand of all the bass players I have ever worked with and played with. So it was quite fun and easy to record this guy because he's like even. He's very even player and it goes quite easily. So yeah. So we that was quite straightforward. We had like two two sounds. One was the DI sound, the other one came from Kemper, and there was quite a lot of post production hassle going on with those two uh, audio lines that we had. So of course it varies on every song what we actually did to those tracks, but and also there are like quite a lot of like additional overdub recordings when it comes to, for example, yes, if you listen to the verses, there is this, this the basic bass line, and then there is this like harmony that goes above the actual root note. So that's also like sounds kind of a bass, but it's like from a synth, so it's not like played with a bass per se. So that combination makes it very interesting, in my opinion.
Mm.
What about the topics, Ville? Because there are yeah, yes is positive, but I have the impression that the lyrics are not so, yeah, um, quite I would say hard topics,
Mm.
love and death.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. And I remember when we were about to make this song and we were writing it, it was all kind of shit happening in the world at the moment then. And there was this Corona thing, and then there was this Ukraine thing, and then it was like I remember that I was staying alone in my working room here, and I was thinking that what is happening here, that we're not doing things like together in this world anymore. Just I just started to think that you know when I heard the song, I kind of heard this kind of anthem inside there. And I thought that, okay, now it's time to make, and I would like to make this kind of statement that we really can make the change together by doing things together and by believing ourselves. And instead of like closing the doors and trying to do everything alone and trying to like yeah, doing things alone. And I thought that this anthem for brotherhood and friendliness and you know this like open world and for the future as well. I think that you know when it comes to like you know if I'm thinking that you know people, let's say in teenage age, like teenagers, and I'm thinking about their view, how they see the world, I think that somebody has to put some kind of like positive thing over there, that they don't have to look the tunnel without light at the end of the tunnel there. So that's why I think that you know it was like, and I was a little bit like worried that this yes thing, and we had this long discussion with Jussi with this topic, that is it like too much and over the top, and is it like something that it can kind of turn against it, you know, in a way, because it's like if there's too many like plus things, then it you know becomes one big minus. So it's like you know we really you know kind of had this you know discussion that is it like working or not, and but I'm really happy that we found this balance and we had like courage and strength to make this kind of statement, and you know it needs guts you know to stand behind this message in this world. You know?
And will you bring this message on the road? Will you play? I think you're going to play live in festivals this summer, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that you know what will happen. You know, when we're playing that song, it will be really, really beautiful thing. I hope that you know when there's like I can imagine some, let's say 3,000 people, you know, screaming this yes. That okay, it's you know why not?
It's a
Yeah,
good chorus, right?
yeah, we have already played that song quite a lot because we toured quite intensely throughout last fall, and we had that song on our set list. We have had it ever since it was released. So I personally, I think I always I feel joy every time we play that song. I think it's a great live song, and
Yeah.
you know it's you know it's so that song has a lot of like cliches, but so cliches work. That's just the way it goes, and this time
Yeah.
you know it's a true pleasure to play that, and I think people kind of I've witnessed it from stage. You know, people get into it and they get the message and they feel the you know the like the positive vibe without making it like silly or stupid. It's like it's all like pure you know goodness.
Yeah.
Which
And I,
which countries would you like
So
to make?
far, you know, it's mostly Germany, for, you know, from outside Finland so far. So we have played other countries as well, but with the song Yes, it's been mostly Germany. So
and a few, like a
Holland
few
as
times.
well, and Czech Republic, yeah, and what else, and so on. So
Yeah.
hoping to come to France as soon as possible and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know
You are very
release
welcome.
the joy of that song for you guys as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think about that, you know, this yes message and how to, you know, stay behind it. It's like I think that it's always quite easy to try to hide behind curtain of irony or something like that. But you know, the real game starts when you say something sincere and something like truthfully and something like what you really mean. And that's you know when it comes to this yes thing, that it's you know it gets balls you know to get this kind of statement out and without any hint of irony and stuff like that. You know. But of course it doesn't mean that we can't laugh you know about this whole thing, and you know it's like we don't have to be too serious about you know this whole thing, but still it's like you know it's
So,
not.
guys, you are very welcome in France, especially in Paris.
Great,
So,
great
Thank
to
you.
hear. Great to hear. Yeah.
thank you, guys, and see you on the road.
Thanks for having us.
Hopefully, yes. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. It was a pleasure.
Congrats for this album. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.
All right.